How you doing, Mark?
Doing great, brother. It's great to talk to you.
Hey, thanks for coming on the show today. So you have a whole you have a history. I mean, I was listening to your story about your mom, and I'm really sorry about that. But you were in Japan, and you got the call, and you're big time. You used to be a boxer, you're a wrestler, you made a lot of money, you lost a lot of money, you did a lot of drugs, you did a lot of stuff. But now you're a speaker, and your message is what?
Well, Geoff, my message is, at public schools, I'm speaking about, obviously the anti-bullying program that we have at public schools. We really find a culture of kids that it's so much different than when we were in school. The kids that would self-harm, the kids that feel like there's no hope, suicide becoming the third leading cause of death among young people. Mm-hmm. We're just seeing so much, it's just so traumatic for young people today. And we've spoken it over 1,000 schools. And I just found a way to really connect with students. And by sharing my story, without going there and preaching to them saying, don't do this, don't do that, but sharing relevant stories of what they can relate to. And, when I talk about my parents or my family, my little brother and sister died at 21. My mother died at 58. My dad died in my arms. I've lost over 30 friends in the wrestling industry that I wrestled against. I've been around a lot of death in my life, and through that, I really found out what is truly important in life, and that's how precious life really is.
So how do you convey this? And let me ask you, you say schools, about what age group? High school, junior high?
Middle school, high school, and colleges. Okay.
What do you tell them? I mean, when you say, what's your message? I mean, you talk about death, you talk about your experiences, because you're talking about a couple things, death and bullying, and how do you put that together?
Well, Geoff, it really is empowering students to dream big, set goals, take action towards goals and dreams in your life. Mm-hmm. I have a little book. When I was 10 years old, I wrote down that I was going to be a professional athlete. I was going to be a millionaire. I was going to have a black Cadillac, a speedboat, all these things I wrote down as a little kid that all eventually became true by writing things down, but believing that you can accomplish these things in life. And, of course, there are materialistic things. I was a poor kid growing up.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with stuff. And let me ask you a question. But more, as much as believing, don't you feel you have to be deserving?
Well, absolutely.
Because you're talking about self-esteem and hurting yourself.
You got a huge point there. We also live in a culture where many young people feel entitled, and we've lost that work ethic in our country in many areas. And it don't matter who's in the White House; it matters who's in our house. And we've got to start taking back our country through our family.
I like that.
The stronger the family, the stronger the country is going to be. But we are seeing more and more grandparents raising kids. We're seeing, more and more single-family homes and kids without boundaries. Mm-hmm. I think our smartphone has actually outsmarted us.
No doubt about it. There's no doubt about it.
How do you see a family go out to dinner and everybody's on their cell phone or with earbuds and no one's even communicating?
You don't allow it, Mark. Look, you're everything you say. Honest to God, I could take to the bank. And everything is learned at home. Most things are learned behavior. I mean, you learn how to tip. If you're at a restaurant, you learn how to talk to people. You learn not how to talk to people. It's learned behavior, and your point of family is true. Unfortunately, and as soon as you say something about African Americans, they throw darts at you. But 70% plus don't have dads. Well, then they join a gang. Everybody needs a family. It could be a different kind of family. A gang is a family. A fraternity is a family. A family is a family. People need other people. That's why there's bowling leagues and card games and bars, and people need to congregate. They need each other, whether they believe so or not. And they're social. We're social creatures. And we're becoming unsocial because of the technology, because of the texting, okay? And I'm saying as a parent, you just have to, I don't care, put those phones down. I mean, put them away during dinner. That's got to become a conversation, maybe not in my day, back in 1927 when there weren't phones, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, there's got to be some sort of,
I couldn't agree with you more. It's just so enlightening to talk to you because when my wife and I go to dinner with friends now, she actually opens her purse and makes everybody put their cell phones away.
Good for her.
Why do we? It's like, how did we get by without these things before? Well, we can't even have a conversation with our adult friends without having to worry about them checking their Facebook page or their Twitter or an email.
Because, see, we're missing something. when they have to look at their Facebook and look at, I look at my Facebook, but look at all their stupid likes at dinner. People need that, I hate to say that, fake adulation. I mean, I use Facebook and I don't ever put anything, this is just me, I don't ever put anything personal on it. I mean, if you saw my post, you'd either love me or you'd hate me, because I just tell it the way it is and I just rip, okay, about stuff. And I walk away for hours, and they have to see, or they become so narcissistic in their pictures. How many pictures do you have to take of yourself? You're cute, I get it, but they need to have 129 likes of their breasts, okay? This is the problem. I don't think a lot of people are happy with, they look outward, not inward. They look for the phone to make them happy and this to make them happy and technology to make them happy. It doesn't make them happy. They get that quick fix. They become addicted to that quick fix. This is just my own shtick, my own head. That's what I really think.
Geoff, I'd love to take you on tour with me, baby. And one of the things I speak at schools, I say, when you leave this earth, the last thing you're going to ask for is your cell phone. You're going to want to be with your family, your wife, right, your husband, friends. And what we said earlier is so important about we have lost that relationship in our lives. And our relationship is now being taken over by our devices. And I just see this, but it's affecting our young people because, now, with not only texting and driving and people that are drinking and driving or smoking pot and driving.
Right.
My gosh, you'd be crazy to drive a motorcycle these days with everybody swerving all over the place,
Hey, I'll come on tour with you anytime. I just tell if they have to be able to take the straight talk. I just tell it straight, man. I mean, we tease about this, our radio station, we call it like Common Sense Radio. We're not perfect or anything else, but we tell it the way it is here, and we talk about common sense. And I don't care if it's 1885 or 1985, you still have to look people in the eye. You still have to have a firm handshake. Certain things like wingtip shoes never go out of style. Okay, and we've gone out of style by not doing the right things. The way some of these, and not to knock the kids, I got two nice kids. I mean, I'm saying, but the way they come dressed to work, or the way they're not being guided, Mark. They're not being, because mom and dad, and again, are too busy out running their asses off working. And don't misunderstand me. I understand all that today. You need a lot of times for both parents to be working, but that quality time that you spend with them has got to be some substance of quality time and explaining things to them, or they pick everything else up off the street.
Geoff, I feel like we've become so fixated on making a living, we forgot to make a life, and it's at the expense of our next generation.
You're right. And another thing that a lot of times people, I was talking about this today, it's got nothing to do with what we're talking about, but kind of. And I watch a show on TV called, we're talking about salesmen. I was having a cigar earlier today. American Greed Scandal, and Scandal, if you ever see it on CNBC, Stacey Keach is their narrator. By basically guys, they always, they're swindling you, whether it's a Ponzi scheme on art or money or like a Madoff type of thing. And what always strikes me about watching those shows is, and I'm an ambitious guy. I like stuff, okay? How much stuff do you need? I mean, my point is, not forget the crooked side. So you work and you work and you work for more stuff and another bracelet, another pair of shoes, and another coat, and another this and another that. And it's all crap at the end of the day. It's stuff. I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't have a nice watch or a nice car or a nice house, but after a while, you're never going to fill that empty void with stuff. It doesn't happen that way.
And Geoff, and we're bringing up a new culture of young people that want stuff. And, it's like everybody wants the bling-bling, the big Escalade, but nobody wants to work for it anymore.
Well, that's no question about it. And that's another thing. I was having this conversation the other day with a lady, and her kid's 17, and, and I said, does she do any sports? And she said, no. I said, does she work? She said, no. I said, well, why not? I mean, I understand how kids are seriously, in a full-time sport, say like my son was in hockey. I'm just saying. And if you're in a hockey team, there's no way you can work. You're playing Saturday, Sunday nights, weekends with practice. That being said, summertime comes and you're going to go caddy or you're going to go do this, and you have to have work. But you have to teach them. You can't schlep them to the mall and buy them another bracelet and another more lipstick and more cream and more crap. They got to get out there and work. It's not rocket. Have them volunteer. See, because what people don't understand, the best experience of my life ever was as a young kid, I sold shoes. It wasn't the money I made. Mark, it was the people I met. It was incredible. I met businessmen. I met black people, white people, yellow people. Who cares? People. Nice people, not nice people. People. You deal with people. You learn how to navigate through life. You deal with your head on the phone and going to the mall. Your head's up, you know what, you know where. And that's the truth.
You're so right. You know, I grew up on the west side of Buffalo, New York, pretty rough neighborhood. And I had one of those push lawnmowers that as you pushed it, it would spin, you know. And I'd cut people's grass in the summer, and in the winter, I would shovel driveways and knock on doors.
Right.
And, you know, you grow up with work ethic. And I've always had a really strong work ethic. And that's what I share with students today. Through my bad choices, even though I had great work ethic, I made it into professional sports. I made a lot of money. I was very, very good in sports, but I lost it all through bad choices in life. And now I can look back on that, and those bad choices actually become learning experiences that I can share with young people today. And I live in an amazing, victorious life now through making good choices, but also treating people with respect. And instilling, I always tell kids, you want to be happy? Help someone else become happy.
No
you want
question.
to be successful? Help someone else become successful.
Well, that's counterintuitive to what, unfortunately, they're getting. So your message is very timely. And another thing I want to say, you know, you're still just a speaker, and you go you go to school for that day or hour or two, but the stuff isn't being learned at home, Mark. It needs to be learned at home. Not just from you coming there on a Wednesday or a Tuesday. You know what I mean? It's like it's not, these things are not being instilled in these kids. It's not. They're not.
Jeff, I agree with you. You know, and here's the thing. You know the little story about that the boy that was throwing a starfish back in. The guy says, "What the heck are you doing with a starfish all the way up and down the beach?" And he says, "Well, I'm throwing him back in to save him." And he said to him, "Well, you can't save them all." And he picks one up, he throws it, and he goes, "I just saved that one."
So you need to do.
We never know, you know, what impact we're going to have on someone. I got a letter today from a young lady I spoke to. I'm over here in North Carolina. We were doing 13 schools in 5 days out here. And I just got a letter today from a young lady that but now we have to talk with the school. She threatened that she wanted to kill herself, but she said the presentation saved her life.
That's great.
But we're seeing this culture, these young people that just feel like there's no hope. Or there's, you know, I mean, it's hard to find a kid that doesn't know someone that's already taken their life, or know someone that killed themselves.
Hey, Mark,
school,
I got to let you run. We're hitting a break. I'll have you back next week. I want to continue the conversation. Okay?
No problem. Thank you so much,
Mark.
Geoff.
Marc
All
Mero.
right, take care.